When was the last time you felt safe, truly safe in your own skin? Not pretending, not forcing a smile, just safe. Most people can't remember. Because somewhere along the way, life taught you that to survive you had to harden, you had to build walls, you had to wear masks, you had to protect yourself from the next blow, the next betrayal, the next wave of pain that might come crashing down. And maybe you did. Maybe you survived, but the cost of that survival was silence. You stopped trusting the softness inside you. You stopped believing the world could be kind. You started walking through life braced for impact, always waiting for something to go wrong, someone to hurt you, something to be taken away. You tell yourself you're fine, you keep moving, you keep doing, but beneath it all, there's this quiet exhaustion, a deep ache that whispers, when does it end? Brr. Strange, isn't it? How the world can keep turning while you're still carrying the weight of a moment that ended years ago. You can change cities, jobs, faces, but the memory follows. The words they said, the look they gave, the sound of that door closing. You replay it, you rewrite it, you wish you could make sense of it. Because if you could just understand why, maybe it wouldn't hurt so much. But understanding doesn't heal pain, it just dresses it up in logic. The truth is, no explanation ever makes loss feel fair. There's something in you that's still holding on, not because you're weak, but because that pain became familiar. It became a part of who you think you are. You've built an entire identity around what happened to you, the things you endured, the people who didn't see your worth. You've mistaken survival for peace. But peace isn't what you feel when nothing hurts. Peace is what's left when you stop identifying with the part of you that's still hurting. You see, the mind has a way of trapping you in loops. It wants control. It wants to protect you from danger, even when the danger is long gone. So it replays every moment that ever made you feel unsafe, hoping that if it keeps watching, it can prevent it from happening again. But it never does. All it does is keep you trapped in the past, fighting ghosts, bleeding from old wounds that only exist in memory. The mind's intention is to help. Its result is suffering. But there's something deeper than the mind, something that's always been untouched. It's the quiet awareness that's watching all of this unfold, the part of you that's never changed, no matter what's happened. You've felt it before. That stillness when you stop thinking for a moment, when you look at the sky and forget your name, when music hits you so deeply that you lose track of who's listening. That's you, not the pain, not the story, not the person you think you need to be to stay safe. You are the space that holds it all. And if you can see that, if you can sense it even for a moment, something begins to shift. The walls you built start to soften. The fear loses its sharpness. You start to realize that what hurts you is not the world itself. It's the way you resist it. Every time you tense, defend, protect, you're reinforcing the belief that you can be harmed. But what if you can't? What if pain is not an attack, but a message? What if every heartbreak, every failure, every loss was just life trying to bring you back to this stillness, to this truth? The truth that nothing has ever truly broken you. The truth that the one who's aware of the pain has never been touched by it. You've confused the waves for the ocean. You've mistaken the passing storms for the sky. But the sky was never in danger. It never is. So breathe. Let yourself feel everything you've been running from. Let the armor fall away. You don't need to fight anymore. You don't need to prove you're strong. You just need to remember who you are beneath the fear. And when you do, you'll see nothing and nobody will ever hurt you again. Not because life becomes easy, but because you finally understand that you were never the one being hurt. You were always the one watching. You've spent so long protecting yourself that you've forgotten what it feels like to live without fear. Every wall you built was meant to keep the pain out, but it also kept life out. You became your own cage, mistaking safety for peace. But safety isn't peace. It's paralysis. It's the slow suffocation of the soul pretending not to want what it really wants. Freedom. And that's the truth you've been running from. You don't just want to survive. You want to feel alive again. You want to wake up without the weight of yesterday pressing on your chest. You want to breathe without waiting for something to go wrong. But to do that, you have to stop trying to control every outcome. Control is the heaviest chain you carry. It's the illusion that keeps you small, that convinces you that if you can just predict everything, you'll finally be safe. But life doesn't bend to control. It unfolds through surrender. The more you cling, the more you suffer, because what you resist doesn't disappear, it grows. Every thought you push away gains strength in the shadows. Every fear you avoid becomes the monster you see in your dreams. But when you turn toward it, when you face it without running, it loses power. You realize the monster was never real. It was only you, misunderstood, crying out to be seen. That's the turning point. When you stop fighting your own reflection, everything changes. You begin to see that the pain wasn't punishment, it was a teacher. Every heartbreak, every failure, every loss, it wasn't there to break you, it was there to wake you, to pull you out of the illusion that you were separate from life, separate from love, separate from the whole. The universe was never against you. It was always trying to bring you back home to yourself, so you start to let go. Not all at once, but piece by piece. The resentment, the guilt, the fear of what might come next. You start to see how much of your suffering came not from what happened, but from your refusal to let it go. You stop waiting for apologies that will never come. You stop trying to rewrite the past. You stop needing to understand. And in that letting go, you rediscover something you thought was lost forever. Peace that doesn't depend on anything or anyone. It's quiet at first, almost too quiet. Your mind won't trust it. It will try to pull you back into chaos, into the noise it knows so well. But stay in that silence, because that's where your power lives. In the stillness, you remember that you were never broken, you were never fragile, you were never the story of your suffering. You were always the awareness behind it, unmoved, untouched, infinite. And when you live from that truth, everything begins to shift. The same world that once terrified you starts to feel different. The same people who once hurt you lose their grip. The same pain that used to define you becomes fuel. You start to see life not as a series of threats, but as a constant invitation to awaken, to experience, to expand. That's when freedom stops being a concept and becomes your natural state. You stop waiting for things to get better. You stop searching for someone to save you. You realize no one can give you what you already are. You are not here to be unhurt. You are here to remember that you are beyond hurt. And that realization, that quiet, powerful knowing, is the moment you stop surviving and start living. You move through the world with open hands instead of closed fists. You meet pain with curiosity instead of fear. You see endings as beginnings, loss as transformation. You no longer beg life to be easy. You thank it for being real, because now you understand nothing and nobody can hurt what is infinite. And you, beneath the fear, beneath the story, beneath the noise, are infinite. You are the stillness watching the storm. You are the light behind every shadow. You are what remains when everything else fades away. And when you live from that truth, there is nothing left to protect, nothing left to fear, and nothing left to lose. Only the freedom of knowing that you were never broken. You were just becoming whole. Freedom begins the moment you stop trying to fix yourself. You've spent years believing that healing meant becoming someone new, someone untouched by pain. But real healing isn't about becoming different. It's about remembering who you already are beneath everything that hurt you. You've been whole this entire time. The cracks were never signs of weakness, they were openings, windows for the light to enter. You don't need to earn peace. You just need to stop running from it. You've looked for answers in people, in success, in distractions, hoping something outside you would make the noise inside stop. But it never did it? Because peace doesn't come from control. It comes from surrender. The moment you stop trying to hold the world still, you see it was never spinning against you. You realize that every storm that terrified you was cleansing you. Every loss that broke you was carving space for something greater. Life wasn't punishing you. It was shaping you, preparing you. And yet, you resist. You tell yourself you're not ready. You cling to the past because it's familiar, even when it's painful. You fear letting go because letting go feels like falling. But what if falling isn't failure? What if falling is freedom? You were never meant to live your life gripping the edge of control. You were meant to fall into the flow of what's real, to trust it, to be carried by it. That's where strength lives, not in resistance, but in release. So ask yourself, how much longer will you keep fighting ghosts? How much longer will you keep defining yourself by what broke you? You've been standing at the door of your own liberation, waiting for permission to walk through, but no one's coming to save you. No one needs to. You've had the key in your hand all along. You just have to turn it. You just have to say, enough. Enough of waiting for closure. Enough of replaying old pain. Enough of believing you are something to fix. Because the truth is, you are not your wounds. You are the awareness that sees them. You are not your past. You are the space that holds every version of you that ever existed. You are not what was done to you. You are what survived it. And survival isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of your power. The moment you stop identifying with your suffering, it loses its control over you. You stop living as a reaction, and you start living as creation. That's when you begin to see how powerful you've always been. The pain you thought was destroying you was actually forging you into something unbreakable. Not cold, not numb, but awake, fully alive, capable of loving without fear, capable of standing in chaos and feeling peace anyway. You stop begging life to make sense and start dancing with its uncertainty. Because you finally understand, it was never about control. It was about trust. Every breath you take is proof that life is still choosing you. Right now, in this moment, you have the power to start again. Not by changing the past, but by releasing it. You can't rewrite what's been done, but you can decide what it means. You can turn every scar into a reminder that you made it through what was meant to end you. You can look at every wound and say, this is where the light came in. You can reclaim everything that once made you hide. And when you do, the world opens up. Fear loses its teeth. The things that used to control you crumble under the weight of your awareness. You stop running from pain because you realize it's not the enemy. It's the doorway. The moment you step through it, you stop being afraid of life itself. You stop being afraid of love. You stop being afraid of yourself. This is what it means to be free, to stand unguarded in the middle of everything and know that nothing can touch what's real within you. To move through the world not as a victim, but as consciousness itself, flowing, expanding, unbreakable. This is where your journey has been leading all along, not to escape the pain, but to awaken through it. Because once you remember who you are, once you see that you are the sky and not the storm, nothing and nobody will ever hurt you again. You've seen the truth now. The peace you were chasing was never out there. It was here, waiting beneath the noise. But seeing it isn't enough. You have to live it. Because knowing you're free means nothing if you keep living like you're still in chains. The world will test you. It will try to pull you back into fear, into reaction, into the comfort of your old pain. It will whisper that you haven't really changed, that you'll fall again, that you're still the same. But that voice isn't truth. It's memory. It's the echo of who you used to be, fighting to survive in a world that no longer needs it. You are not obligated to keep being the person your past created. You can stop right now and choose differently. You can choose to respond instead of react. You can choose silence over chaos, presence over control. Every moment is an invitation to either repeat what's familiar or step into what's true. That choice is your power. That's where transformation happens. Not in waiting for life to change, but in daring to change within life itself. But understand this, freedom demands honesty. You can't fake awakening. You can't pretend to surrender while still holding on to blame. You have to look yourself in the mirror and admit what you've been afraid to see. The resentment, the bitterness, the guilt you hide behind strength. You have to face it all. Not to fix it, but to release it. Every truth you deny becomes a chain. Every emotion you bury becomes a weight. Freedom doesn't come from pretending you're light. It comes from embracing your darkness and realizing it was never your enemy. That's the moment everything breaks open. You stop negotiating with your pain. You stop waiting for permission to rise. You stop apologizing for the space you take up. You realize that your softness is not weakness, it's your power. That feeling deeply is not a curse. It's the gateway to awakening. The more open you become, the more untouchable you are. Because nothing can control the one who no longer resists life. And this is the truth most people never learn. It's not what happens that destroys you, it's the story you tell about it. Change the story, and the pain dissolves. Let go of the idea that you were wronged, that you were broken, that you are less than what happened to you. You are not the wound, you are the witness, and the witness is infinite. When you see that, the fear of being hurt again disappears, because you understand that no experience can touch what's real within you. But don't mistake stillness for passivity. This awakening isn't about sitting back and letting life happen to you. It's about stepping forward without fear. It's about acting from clarity, not from pain. It's about loving without needing, giving without expecting, and standing tall even when everything around you shakes. You are not here to escape the world. You are here to embody freedom within it. To be the calm in the chaos, the light in the storm, the voice that whispers peace into noise. You've spent enough time doubting your worth, questioning your path, waiting for the right moment. This is the moment. The future doesn't begin later. It begins now, in this breath. You've carried your pain long enough. It has done its job. It brought you here. But it can't come with you any further. To step into your power, you must travel light. Let it go, all of it. The fear, the guilt, the need to control what's already written. The life you want isn't hiding. It's waiting for you to stop resisting it. It's waiting for you to stop running from what you are. And what you are is not small, not broken, not lost. You are vast, you are eternal, you are the space in which life itself moves. You are the witness, the silence, the presence that remains untouched, unshaken, unchanged. So stand in it. Feel the strength that comes from simply being. Feel the peace that doesn't depend on anything. This is what freedom feels like. Not the absence of pain, but the presence of truth. Nothing and nobody can take that from you, because once you've seen who you truly are, once you've touched that stillness, the world can no longer hurt you. You've already become everything you were meant to be. You've reached the point where there's no going back. You can't unknow the truth of who you are. You can't return to the illusion of being powerless, fragile, or broken. Once you've seen that you are the awareness behind it all, every mask begins to fall apart. Every fear loses its teeth. But this is where the real test begins, because the mind will do everything it can to pull you back into the familiar. It will whisper doubts. It will remind you of your mistakes. It will show you old wounds like proof that you can't change, and in that moment you have to decide whether to believe the voice or the silence beneath it. One will keep you trapped. The other will set you free. Freedom doesn't come gently. It rips through every lie you've ever told yourself. It demands truth. It demands courage. It demands that you stop pretending to be less than you are. The world doesn't need another version of you that fits in. It needs the version that's awake, alive, and unafraid. The one who's done apologizing for their power. The one who's ready to stop surviving and start creating. Because once you see that life is not happening to you, but through you, the game changes. You stop asking for permission. You start moving like someone who remembers their infinite. But don't expect it to be easy. Awakening is not comfort. It's rebirth. It's the death of everything false, the death of fear, of control, of every story that kept you small. And death, even spiritual death, hurts. It feels like losing everything. It feels like chaos. But that's how transformation works. The old self must dissolve for the real one to emerge. You have to trust that the fire that's burning your walls down is the same fire that's setting you free. You have to let it consume everything that isn't real. This is not a journey for the faint-hearted. It requires everything, every tear, every ounce of faith, every breath of courage. But what waits on the other side is worth it. Because when you finally stop running, when you stand still in the middle of the storm, you realize there was never anything to run from. The pain was never the enemy. The fear was never the threat. They were both trying to guide you home, to this moment, to this presence, to this unshakable knowing that you are enough. You've always been enough. You can feel it now, can't you? That pulse of something greater moving through you, that quiet strength that doesn't need to prove itself. That's not hope. That's remembrance. That's the truth that's been buried under years of noise. It's rising again. It's asking you to live differently, to stop waiting for life to give you what you already are. You don't need more time. You don't need more signs. You are the sign. You are the proof. You are the miracle disguised as a person searching for meaning. This is the moment to rise, to take back your power from every fear, every doubt, every voice that ever told you to shrink. Stand tall. Let the weight fall off your shoulders. You were never meant to carry the world. You were meant to move with it, to breathe with it, to dance with it. Every breath is a reminder that you are part of something infinite, something untouched by loss or failure or time. When you remember that, the fear of being hurt again dissolves, because you realize that nothing real can ever be taken from you. You've come too far to stop now. Let every scar remind you that you've lived. Let every heartbreak remind you that you've loved. Let every loss remind you that you've grown. The past no longer defines you. The future no longer frightens you. You are here, awake, alive, and that's enough. The pain that once felt unbearable has become your power. The darkness that once consumed you has become your teacher. And now you stand in the truth that cannot be broken. You are whole. You are free. You are untouchable. This is where the journey ends and begins again. Not in fear, but in freedom. Not in searching, but in knowing. You are not waiting for peace anymore. You are peace. You are not hoping for light. You are light. You are the silence behind every sound, the stillness beneath every storm. And once you realize that, once you live from that truth, nothing and nobody will ever hurt you again.